All right, everybody, my name is Aaron Robb, principal at Wahconah Regional High School. We're standing in the brand new Wahconah, which we've been in now for several months. We moved in October of 2021. It's now April of 2022. And today's a special day because we actually found a time capsule buried in the rubble of the old Wahconah behind a cornerstone, which is right over here. That is dated 1959. We have a little story behind why it's dated 1959, given that the former Wahconah opened in 1961. And we have this time capsule here that's in a copper box that we found behind it. One of our construction supervisors from Bar and Bar, Mark Fulton, found it and brought it over to us right away when they found it. Joining me today are three very important and special people. First of all, on this side of me, we have Mr. Tom Callahan, who is a former Wahconah teacher and coach. He ended up being principal here from 1996 to 2006 and is a co-chair of our building committee. And to this side of me, we have the son and daughter of Wahconah's very first principal, Mr. Jack Franklin. And so we're very proud to have Mr. Mark Franklin, former Wahconah English teacher here, and his daughter, Jean Poupor. And they're here representing the Franklin family. We thought that if we're opening up something historical, we should have a bit of history. No offense. We have a bit of history here as we do this. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, before we open it, a little story about the cornerstone. It was late in 1959, but the school didn't actually open until 1961. As you all know, in this school, we were delayed a little bit in opening. Trying to build and open a new school in a pandemic was not an easy feat, but we were able to pull it off. But there was actually an incident that occurred during the construction of the old Wahconah that caused a delay as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Callahan just to mention what happened.
Thank you, Aaron. First, I'd like to thank Aaron for this great idea and to share this. And also knowing his penchant to include history, to go back to when the old Wahconah was first opened. In the year 1958-9, there was a steel strike in this country, and a lot of construction projects were put on hold or not even begun. And I credit to the committee back in that day to keep going. And so what they did when they could not get enough steel to complete the skeletal construction, if you will, of the building, was to get some other things done. So they attacked the football field up there. At the time, there was no soccer, and there wasn't any place to play football. But they did have time to carve out the football field up there. And for the time, they did a pretty good job putting in drainage, etc. But it put off the opening of the school off until the fall of 1961. So the first graduating class obviously was 62. It had planned to be 60, but the towns were kind of brought in to the fold, if you will, a little better by that, because it just brought them to more meetings, something we all know about, but also to continue going along with construction. I have to add that the transition from the old Dalton High was just amazing, thanks to Principal Mr. Jacob Franklin and the great staff, because a lot of us Daltonians and plenty of kids from the hill towns that attended Dalton High before it was officially a regional, wanted to go to Dalton High, where a lot of our older siblings did, in many cases parents, relatives, etc. So our first weeks up here weren't real happy for us. We wanted to be known as Dalton High football team. Wahconah was a name given as a result of a name contest. But to be honest with you, winning our first 4 football games changed our attitude a little bit, and Wahconah Warriors started to sound a lot better than the Dalton Papermakers. Yes, that was our moniker according to the Berkshire Eagle at the time. So Wahconah Warriors was getting attention, and things started to really happen here. Again, thanks to those folks back then. They were just a remarkable staff.
Thanks for that history. So what we're going to do is we've already actually opened it, but we haven't actually pulled anything out. This is a copper box that was found behind the cornerstone. And what we're going to do, we actually already opened it with some snips, but we're just going to peel it back and start pulling everything out. And what I would ask is for the Franklins and Cal to maybe comment on when we pull out, because this predates me a little bit, if you know what I mean. So first thing we have, I'll be very careful here. Looks like an old newspaper. Oh, Cal, it's your report card.
Don't pass that around.
Dated June 22nd, 1960. And it mentions 2 satellites orbiting from a US rocket. It also mentions something about Wimbledon, Cuba, and below the fold, it's like somebody robbed a bank, and some other headlines. So it's a full Berkshire Eagle newspaper. So we'll leave that out. Here's a program for the cornerstone laying on June 22nd, 1960. Looks like the opening prayer was given by Reverend Charles Christensen. Does that ring a bell? Yep. And then it actually mentions the documents that were placed inside the box at the cornerstone. So you have some names here as well. We have an agreement between the towns of Beckett, Dalton, Hinsdale, and Windsor. Those were the original towns that I believe formed CBRSD and built the school. And this is basically a regional agreement to form Central Berkshire Regional School District. It's in mint condition. This is what it looks like. Should probably be wearing gloves if you look at it. It's not good. And it's got projections for enrollment. Of course, this was built to accommodate the baby boom. Our population went up to about 1,100 at one point, right?
Just before I came.
Yep. Try not to cut myself. We have the Hinsdale Town Report. I have a feeling we'll find them from the other towns as well. December 31st, 1958. Here's another one from the town of Hinsdale, 1959. Town Report, 1959 from Windsor. Another town report for Windsor, 1958. These are in perfect condition. The box was well sealed. Town report, 1959 from Beckett. Also from Beckett, 1958. Looks like they put 2 years worth of town reports in here. Annual report for public schools for the town of Dalton, 1958. Town report from 1960. Looks like a picture of Lloyd Jones on the cover. And looks like some paperwork of some sort. A bit faded, but I think it's the proposed schedule for the new school. It's very faded. It has all the different classes they offered at the time.
That's why it's free.
Very interesting. It has the course offerings per grade. For grades 9, 10, 11, and 12. Might ask for a little assistance here. Looks like we have a picture here of some folks, if I read correctly. George Emerson, May Hitchcock, Fred Crane, Henry Adams, Paul Marsh, Al Childs, Eileen Quinn,
School committee?
and Emily Pierce. That's the school committee at the time? Eileen Quinn. You know Eileen Quinn? This is a brief chronological history of the development of Wahconah Regional High School. So this is a timeline, each step that it took to create Wahconah. An original typing paper. This is the pamphlet for the proposed, what was known at the time as Central Berkshire Regional High School. And I think we have one other item in here. This is your report. Oh, this is a picture of the laying of the cornerstone. And I'm reading the back. The names are John Penna and Mason Foreman. Oh, John Penna is the Mason foreman, and John Naughton is the school committee chairperson. Does that sound right? Those are the contents of this. We're going to figure out what to do with this copper box. We'll figure out a way to donate it back to the district, and we'll go from there. Do you have any thoughts you want to add about what you just saw? Or?
Other than most of those names were well-known personalities in the district because they had a little bit of resentment among the towns. It was normal everywhere. Forming a region or not. John Melton, for example, was already into probably his 70s when this was all done, and we all knew Eileen Quinn. Her house now.
Yeah, you live in her house.
Yep.
So many other names.
Jeannie's
They
aunt.
were great people, really dedicated.
Do you have any thoughts you want to add before we wrap it up?
It's wonderful to see. We had it wrong, but I was trying to remember what the cornerstone date was. And I think I was also thinking of the Craneville cornerstone when I started. It was 53, the new Craneville. So when I started school in 58, it was a new school. When I started at the old Wahconah in 66, it was a new school. And here I am in the new school. And it just feels wonderful. Thank you, Aaron, for
Absolutely.
sharing this.
Well, this was very neat. Trip down memory lane. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you.